Welcome back to Love2D Tutorials, where nothing is hidden from you except for my face most of the time. When we last left, we were doing some refactoring. Today, we're going to be doing some refactoring. Of particular note is the missile and the player, and if you remember, we derived those from the entity class. And that gave us some, it really didn't do a whole lot for us, to be honest. Instead, it caused us to have to do these little super calls for the new and then a super call for the update. I don't know, that just doesn't make me feel good. Really, ideally, if you're going to do really entity component systems, this player object and this missile object should be just a plain old component that's attached to an entity. So let's endeavor to make that happen. So what we'll do here then is, instead of deriving from an entity, we'll derive from class here. And then we'll see what I'm doing. We're just changing that to class, so we're going to derive from class. And now we can remove these supers on the new and then the update. That allows the entity class itself to function more as it should, at least in my opinion. And so now we're going to have to think of a few things. Something that I also thought about was this new on the entity. Let's take a list of components. I'm trying to think of how we might do that. How about, let me open up Mozilla. Lua has the ... operator, which we might end up using here. Let's see, Lua ... And that is like a variable number of arguments. Where is it? Say this. Variable arguments. Variable number of arguments. Yes, see, here we go. Yeah, right here. So 3 dots in the parameter list indicate that the function has a variable number of arguments. When this function is called, all its arguments are collected into a single table. Okay, which the function accesses as a hidden parameter named arg. Arg. Besides those arguments, the arg table has an extra field, n, with the actual number of arguments collected. I think that's what we want. So if we do this, ... for the new, then we get this, we get this args variable. So what we should be able to say is, and it's kind of funny that they do an n there, because all you have to do is just ask for the size of that arg table. Whatever. So let's print arg.n. I want to make sure that this works, and we'll see if you pass nothing, is it nil or is it, so do we need to test for that? That's really what we want to know. So you see what I want to do here? I want to be able to pass, when we new up an entity, I want to be able to pass components into it directly. So we don't have to do adds like this. Instead, we can just pass them in. So I'm going to come right in here and we'll say local player equals new, or I'm sorry, equals entity. And we're going to need that. Oh, we have it. Okay, good. Entity. So let's just pass that in. Let's enable debug, and I'll load her up. And player 41. Oh, yes, of course, because we've got a bunch of other stuff we got to fix. Oh, crud. Because we just changed. I removed. Remember, we turned off our entity functionality. So let's just do this real quick. We really want to test 38. Yeah, we're going to have to, we've created a bunch of other problems. Oh no, we've created so many problems. Let's do this real quick. The player, let's grab. Ugh. Yeah, that's pretty crummy because all of this stuff is going to have to come out. Or does it? No. Let's do this. Since we're in entity now, let's do function on start. And we have we have a pointer to the entity object. So we'll just do that and we'll create from this player component, we will go ahead and create the sprite component and add that to the entity. So let's go do that. Add components to our entity. Really the transform should be done elsewhere. But I'm going to keep it in here. Just we'll move it later. Okay. Dot machine. Let's see. Grab this. Okay. I'll have to do the same thing for the missile, of course. I'll just grab this function on start, put it over here, do an end, basically take these items, which again we will reproportion and appropriate here a little bit later. Okay. Probably still get an error, but yeah. Did I? Yeah, on start. So let's do, right now there is no entity for player, so let's do player, add player. See what we're doing, and actually pick this up. Sorry, no, let's leave it like this. Player, and then we're adding that. And we should get it. 39 players. Did we get? We'll go to a nil. Where's that nil coming from? I don't know where the nil's coming from. Let's search. Let's search for print. Print. Oh, we've still got some other stuff in here, don't we? That we really need to get rid of. Got some prints that don't need to be there. That doesn't need to be there. That's fine. Oh, that's okay. That's the one. Okay, so it is nil. Let's print the arg table. Remember, right now we're just looking at this, so the other errors will. Yeah, it is a table. Let's see what version of 5.2. Oh. Let's do this. Print the length of the arg table. Should be 0. Not. It's 2. Really? Are they? So it should be right here, and there's. Let's see. Yeah. 3 dots. Hidden parameter named arg. Besides those arguments, the arg table has an extra field n with the actual number of arguments collected. So basically we have a table that has two arguments. But what are they? I guess we do this. Yeah, let's do this. Just print. I want to see what these arguments are. Let's check it out. Console. I don't think that's right. Let's, instead of this, I've seen it done this way before. Local parm, let's say parms equals like that. And then let's print parms. How many things are in parms? And there is 0. That's exactly what we want. Okay. So I'm not sure. Where is it? This might actually be talking about. No, it's not. I'm not sure why. How that's working out. But anyway, we can do this with variable arguments, and then we can take that and assign it into a table. Then we can ask, how long is the table? So what we'll do here is we'll say if arms is greater than 0, and then we'll do a for loop for I equals 1 arms length. Do the following. We're just going to assume that these are components. We'll say parms by arms of I. So now we should be able to come in like this and say the following. There. And we're still getting that on 38, which that doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. 38, which is still p.sprite. p.sprite. Okay, so let's go into player and see if we can't remove that. I think this is fine. But here's what I'm thinking. I don't think I want to make that a component. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and we'll come down here and we'll into update, and we'll say self.machine update. That really doesn't need to be a component, not in this case. The transform, of course, does. And let's put it in here. And on start, transform equals entity self or e. We got an e.transform because we want that. And we're going to fix that too, because that was crazy ridiculous right here. That's not right. Because that'll mean that local is for any instance of this module will refer to the same transform and the same sprite. The transform, no. The sprite for the player, that's probably fine, to be honest. If you want a player, he's going to have the same sprite. No. Actually not. Let's do self.transform. And then we'll go do some searches. And we'll search for transform dot. Self.transform dot. Like that. And we'll run it and see what other kind of issues we've got. Good. 42, a name expected near so-and-so. 42. Source. We missed that. 48. Oh, right here. we don't want to do that. Guess we should local. Oh, how many other places do we use sprite? All over the place. Well, credit. This should really be self dot. So let's do self, or no, sprite, colon. Then we'll do self.sprite colon. Replace. There's probably some other plain old sprites. Are there? I don't think there are, actually. And let's bring this over here so that we can see what's going on. So are we coming to the same issue that we had last time, perhaps? Could just do this. Makes it a little bit more clear as to what's going on, doesn't it? Let's do print. Let's see what we get. We're not getting start call here. Yeah, we're still having issues with that start. Hold on, I'll leave it in here. So we are adding to our entity here. And it should be that when we... Oh, have we... Yes, I'm gonna bring test back over here. It's the question, have we we're adding it right here. And there's really no reason to say player anymore. Let's just say self.p. And then we can get rid of that line. That's funny. It's telling me this. And it says this is okay. Let's print this. No. Yeah, that makes sense. Because we just added. Does it make sense? We've added the player. Oh. No, that does make sense. This should get called. That should get called when we kind of need to, because we did all this stuff on, where did we do that? On start? Yeah. I think we're going to need to, we may need to rethink some of this stuff. Since we're on start here, that means that this is not called until the entity manager has done its thing right here. When you add it to the entity manager, and then we do that first update. But we need to access these things before that. What if shoot. Yeah, this is going to require some, because the way that we're treating these is going to be problematic if we aren't able to just immediately see. Okay. We should still get right here. We should still have this. As soon as we add these. So we're not going to get we're not getting called. Oh, that's okay, that's why. I see. We need to it's a catch-22, people. We want to wait until our entity calls on start on us because we need that entity. In order to add other entities to it. Or did we, when we add it? No, when we add it, there. So when we add that component, it's there. Maybe we need another maybe we need another function. Another callback. I'm a little puzzled. Because we want to be able to add, there's your entity. And each of these, we've got the entity here. And when we call add, we say entity self. We could have a function called function on added. And then that could be where the work is done. As soon as an entity is added, let's see. Let's do that. Not sure how that's going to work out. And not, let's see, self-started. Do this. I may be creating more trouble for us later, but hey, this is about adventure, right? This is about fun and fun with coding, right? So if we do that, do we get a... Oh, you know what? You're probably yelling at me right there, aren't you? Let me do that and see if that makes any difference, does it? Yeah, it does actually. 44 self, yeah, of course, entity. Add, right. So we, okay, so I'm gonna entity 31. I'm gonna comment this out. We may come back to that. We may still need that later. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. 31 add component. So hold on now. Really? So apparently when we're adding these components, see right here, player in function on start 44. Oh, no, add Should be fine. So we're adding a sprite. Oh, we're adding. Yeah. Self.sprite. Name problems. That's what we're having. We're having name problems. 46. Self.transform. This is what you get whenever you start doing replacements. And attempt to index field sprite and nil. So we're all the way back to that. We did get start called though. See that? Start is called. Let's see. Do this. Let's print whenever we add one of these what type it is. Okay, player transform. Transform player sprite. Okay. Oh, I know why. I know why. Of course. When we're in test, our player now is actually not the entity, because but it's our player. So, or no, no, that should be the entity. That should be the entity. We're getting it here again. Wait. Let's do a print here again. That shouldn't work. Yeah, that shouldn't work. That one shouldn't work. So we need to go back. See, this all has aspects of just like a wave of things that occur whenever you're doing this stuff. And that's why we there was a no, not scene manager. I did this last time. Scene. And we may have to readjust a lot of this stuff. Because at this point, that sprite doesn't exist, right? That sprite exists. Sprite, talk to me, sprite. Yeah, right, it's null. And yet, if we come back over here, print component type. So if we do that, yeah, see, we're getting into. See, the sprite needs to be done stuck in there before the player. I don't know. Maybe we live with that. Because the player is sitting here on start. Now let's do this. You're gonna think I'm crazy, right? Okay, function p.get right. Okay, so then we're just gonna return create a sprite create a sprite component. Feel like it's getting messy to you? Feels like it's getting messy. Call this a local. And then we'll just return sprite. There's a method to my madness, there really is. So we're grabbing a sprite get, let's say a get new sprite component. That's fine. And really, this could be up here. And we'll get rid of that. And we will simplify this. Really, all we need to do on start is to grab that transform, since we'll be using it in here. And then, so instead of, see that, so creating, we're going to do this. Right, Lua. Let's see. So the sprite atlas, you're telling me? Oh, of course, right here. So we need to grab that. And also, that's where the sprite atlas is created. We should actually get a sprite that way. And it's still 39. Okay, that's going to be the missile, right? So we're back to where we started. 39. Yeah, that's the missile. So in a sense, we probably need to do the same thing here, don't we? And test. The test where we set the target. We're actually, yeah, we're good now because we're creating that here. Really, remember the sprite is a component, but we stuck it inside the player just to get it. So we don't have to have all that gobbledygook out here. So really, there's kind of two separate pieces in here. The capability to create this sprite with this, and then the atlas, and then the sprite component. So, I don't know. We may change that. We may change that later. We're going to have to do the same thing here. So we need a, what we'll need is, we'll go back to the player, and I'll do this same thing right here. So we're just going to add a get new sprite component, or let's say get. I will just leave it like that. So then that would be this. All it's going to consist of there, and then we'll say this. We grab this, and then we'll just return sprite. We don't add that. And I say that we don't need on start anymore because we're going to do a transform. Yeah, let's just do it by adding a transform. Okay, so we'll try to follow that same pattern that we did here. So the missile will be an NT, and we'll have a transform of 320 by 100. It really doesn't make sense that you put that in the missile anyway, since we're basically going all components, remember. And then we want missile get new sprite component, and then the missile. And I'm sure we've got some stuff messed up too. Of course, we've got that will be M, so that will be included in our module that we return. Attempt to call method target a new value. Okay, so this here. Of course, yes, because we're not. This isn't the missile, so we'll say dot missile. That's a component now. And we are almost there. Almost! What we need to do is missile 41, because we're apparently looking at this Yes, see we are. Do we have? So it will be entity dot sprite center. Or actually, not anymore. It will be actually be. And this would be where we could use a function. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. So we need to grab the, not really the center, because do we still have that? Because remember that's just the position now. We really don't need a center. I don't think we need a center. Is this the only place that is? So much refactoring, so little time, yes? Yeah, that's all that's the only place that's used. That's not required anymore. This would be, bring this over here. I need more space. We're going to have more space. So what we're going to do is we'll take this missile. And I'm going to do just for now. Just bear with me. Vector 2. And then target object, which is going to be what did we set? Oh, that was the sprite, which now no longer is the sprite. It's just going to be a transform. So let's do that too, because see, the target is just going to be the player's transform, right? Because that's what's changing. You see what I mean? So that target. Let's rename this too. I'm going to be target. It really would be more useful to come in here and just say function vector position, and then we could just return a vector 2 of self.x and self.y, like that. That'd make it a lot easier. T. That's going to be colon function. So then we would do this. And we would do self.transform colon vector position. We're making a lot of different changes here now. Okay, I'll tell you. All right. Now, let's do what we did earlier, and that is let's create. We go grab the player. Let's create a transform. So like this. Remember, we're setting that. We have our own copy of that transform like this. So that way we don't have to do all this self.entity.stuff. Self.entity.stuff. We can just do this, and then we'll do that. That makes it better because we need that transform, and we'll just grab it on start. Missile 23. Of course. We got to assign it to the right module. What happened? Okay. Player 47. Of course. 47. Oh, yes, because remember we're no longer creating that sprite, so we need to get it from the entity who should have already created it by now. And boom, we are back. But that was weird. Did you see that? He's just flying away. Let's restart that. Uh-oh. Test Lua 50. Where are we on 50? Oh, yes. Wait, what did it say? Collides? Collided. Test Lua 50. Right here. Ah, yes. Again, this is player. And remember, this is the entity of the player. So we probably do player or player colon collided. See. Yeah, see, that works now. The question is why? What's going on here? He should be turning around. So I've screwed something up. We've made lots of changes. Rearrange things. Uh-oh. Where am I? Oh, well. We made lots of changes and rearranged things. I apologize for this episode, by the way. This one is not so great. We need to figure out why our missile is having issues. So let's look at... Let's not look at this. Let's look at that Z value. There's 0. Check it. If I move, then it starts up. No. So it's something that I did. But I'm not sure what I did. Doesn't have anything to do with this. I mean, if I just replace this, this is the same thing, so it's not, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That shouldn't be an issue. Let's see what the missile direction says it is. And we need to, let's look at missile to target as well. X is 1. And then we look at missile to target, which will be a normalized vector, which is fine. Missile to target X, Y. -1. Why isn't there? So we've got, now we'll alternate missile direction and missile to target, and you see you have a -1 0 and a 1 0. I'm getting out my pad. A -1 0 1. Is that, what direction would you have if you crossed those? Apparently, you have nothing. Glad I left these in. We have all zeros. I begin to question that, Sung. I think that's not right. Let's go into our vector 2. Oh, it wasn't in vector 2. It was in utils. No, it was in vector 3. Huh. Sorry. Vector 3. Yeah, see. That's going to be a -1 1. and a minus 1, 1. Or I'm sorry, 0. It's gonna be 0. That'll be 0. Hmm. I'm gonna add a space because it makes me feel better. Cross. So we're really kind of misusing the cross product. Well, not misusing. We're kind of making it cool. We've talked about that. It's not really a cross product with a two-dimensional vector, but we're kind of using it that way. And I'm thinking, let's say this. Okay, just hang with me here for a minute. If say AZ, or if AX is greater than 0, then AZ 1 else if AX less than 0, then A equals -1. Yes, yes, oh yes, -1. We like -1. -1. Okay, this was might make everything crazy. End expected, of course it is. End. Attempt to compare number with nil. Oh, of course. We need to do the same for B. B. Okay. So there probably really needs to be some sort of oh, and let's okay. And then we say else A of Z equals 0. Else B of Z equals 0. Like that. And we're still doing if A of Z equals nil, or how about that? Attempt to compare number with nil. On 16. Let's not do this. Let's just dot X. Like that. That really makes more sense to me. Table index is nil, 16. And let's do this. .z. I don't know why. Sorry, forgive me. Forgive me. This is wrong. Let's do this. That doesn't even make any sense because it's just a number. There we go. Still doesn't make any difference though. We do have a in that missile, we have missile direction. And missile to target. That's funny because I would have thought, let's print here. See if we get that. Yes, see, we're zeros, so that must mean that I know something else has screwed up from before, and really we should be looking into that. Not really sure why I did it like this. That is really what I should do. I didn't, because you can't do a string. I mean, you're supposed to do a string. That was completely wrong, by the way. Sorry. Okay. Let me try this. Oh, yeah, of course. Make them 1. Yeah, that's not doing any good either. Let's just go all the way back to what we had before, except we will change. We will change this because that's crazy. I don't know why I was doing that. This looks much better. And we're all zeros. But, whenever we get smaller, then he will turn around and he will come back. See? He's coming back. But if you can get him exactly where there is no Z component. All right, so we have something to fix there, but I think we have things. Let's see. And remember, we have things, I think, working like there. I think this is better. Remember that the reason we can now create entities like this, and the reason that we are doing this and this instead of creating these sprites out here is that there's just a lot of gobbledygook that goes with it. This stuff and the sprite atlas and all that stuff, and we just don't want to mess with it, and it's not a bad place to put it. And the reason why we do that actually, since we're doing the we're following the transform here. Maybe that's why it was working before, because we weren't following the actual transform, we were following the sprite position. I don't know. No, that doesn't make it. That doesn't. Never mind. See if we do that, and we come in here. Yeah. I'm just trying something. Let's try adding self.get new sprite component, and we'll probably get that same problem, right? No, we don't. I like that better. Because our problem, we had a different problem. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So let's, instead of this, let's do this. Let's just say this, right? Let's say create sprite component, and that's just a function. It's a local function. Then down here, we'll say self.create sprite component. And then in our test, and I'm going to verify this works. That feels better to me. I don't like surfacing that stuff if I don't have to. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Let's do that with our player sprite 2. We'll create going to be a local function. Local function. Yeah, that makes it much better. At least that encapsulates this stuff inside. And since we don't need to access this sprite before everything is started anyway, this works fine. This is fine. So we'll just do it like this. What a messy episode. I feel like the last 2 episodes have been pretty messy. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do this. Makes more sense to me anyway. And then we'll just say, and then we should be back, except for that strange issue with. All right, so I think we'll stop it here. I'll look into this cross-product issue, or basically this issue where we really need that missile to understand that it's going a different direction. And we'll get back with you. And until then, hopefully I'll have a more polished episode for you next time. Thanks.